Okay, I'm making this video as a warning to let you all know that World War III, nuclear war with China, with Russia and China, is coming. Okay? I'm going to start with Matthew chapter 25. Now, there's this whole debate on a pre-tribulation rapture, mid-tribulation rapture, post-tribulation rapture, pre-wrath rapture, all these terminologies that aren't in the Bible. That's just like mankind, just like the church, to debate something and use terms that aren't even biblical terms. Pre-tribulation. The word pre-tribulation is not in the Bible. The word rapture, in a sense, is not in the Bible. You know, we're all debating whether it's a pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib. How dumb can we be? The Bible does not speak in terms of a pre-tribulation or a mid-tribulation or a post-tribulation rapture. You need to take those terms and throw them out. But I will tell you what the Bible does say. At that time, the end of the age, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. It says the kingdom of heaven. It doesn't say the world. It doesn't say the Jews. It doesn't say Israel. It says the kingdom of heaven. I'm just saying. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. All right. Stop. Wisdom says you take extra supplies, you take extra oil, you get ready, and you get prepped. It's the end of the age, and you're waiting for the bridegroom. Foolishness says, oh, the bridegroom's going to be right here right away. And that's what the pre-tribulation people are saying. They don't have to get ready for World War III. Rapture's going to happen. You don't have to get ready to stand firm in your faith, in the face of the mark of the beast. The rapture's going to happen before any of that. But it says the bridegroom was a long time in coming. And then it says, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. The whole church, everybody is asleep right now. At midnight, the cry rang out, here's the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish ones said to the wise, give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out. Now, so what is the cry that rings out at midnight that wakes everybody up? Well, it's World War III. That's what it is. It's nuclear war with Russia and China. Doomsday clock, midnight. Every once in a while, the scientists will get together and they'll say that the doomsday clock clicked 1 minute closer to midnight. And don't they do that? What is midnight on the doomsday clock? What? It's doomsday. It's World War III, nuclear war. Then all the virgins woke up. When World War III happens, everybody who believes in a pre-tribulation rapture is going to suddenly snap out of it. Bing! They're going to wake up. They're going to say, oh, maybe we're in the tribulation period. Now, just because you go into a world war doesn't mean you're in a tribulation period. In the tribulation period. And I hate using the term tribulation period because they assume it's a 7-year period. It's not. They're wrong about everything. If you read Daniel chapter 9, where they get all this stuff, you will see they are wrong. And the reason they're wrong is because it's hard to you can't understand what it's talking about unless the Holy Spirit tells you. And I know they're not led by the Holy Spirit. None of them are. If they believe it's a pre-tribulation rapture and the mark of the beast comes out before the rapture and they misquote and manipulate the Bible, They misquote 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, where it says the Antichrist will certainly be revealed before the rapture. And then Revelation chapter 14, verse 6 says the gospel goes out to every nation, language, tribe, and people. And then Babylon the Great falls in 1 hour. Revelation 14:8, a second angel followed, said, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great." And in Revelation chapter 18, verse 10, it says, "Terrified at her torment, they will stand far off and cry, 'Woe to you, great city, O mighty city of Babylon! In 1 hour your doom has come.'" And verse 19 or 17, "In 1 hour such great wealth has been brought to ruin." And in verse 19, "They will throw dust on their heads and weep and mourn and cry out, 'Woe, woe, the great city, where all who had ships on the sea became rich through her wealth. In 1 hour she is brought to ruin.'" Now the word city means society of people, just so you know. That's why the New Jerusalem is also referred to as a city. It's God's society of God's people. Look at Revelation chapter 17, verse 12. "The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who receive authority as kings 1 hour along with the beast." Wait a minute. Babylon the Great falls in 1 hour. The beast comes to power in 1 hour. Could it be that at the end of the age, the beast gets into a war with Babylon the Great, and it's a 1 hour war, and at the end of that war, the beast comes to power, and Babylon the Great falls? What is the beast? What is the beast? Revelation chapter 12, verse 3. "Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth." How can a dragon, a red dragon, now people are going to say that's the devil, and the stars that it flings from the sky to the earth are the angels. And this is referring to the war of Michael and the dragon, where Satan was cast out of heaven. Okay, that's a good point. But look what it says. "A sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon." And then it says, "with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head." That is the government of the Antichrist. So how can an enormous red dragon also be part of the government of the Antichrist? And how can it send stars from the sky to the earth from its tail unless it's China? I'm telling you, China is the enormous red dragon, and the stars that it sends from the sky to the earth are nukes. It also represents the devil being cast out of heaven. But if the dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns, that means it's the earthly government of the Antichrist. And if it's an enormous red dragon, China fits the bill. The same thing happens in Revelation chapter 13. "I saw a beast," verse 1, "I saw a beast coming out of the sea." Now that beast we know is the government of the Antichrist, because it says it had 10 horns and 7 heads with 10 crowns on its horns. That's the government of the Antichrist. "On each of its head it had a blasphemous name. The beast I saw resembled a leopard." The leopard represents Islam. "But had feet like those of a bear." That's Russia. "And it had a mouth like that of a lion." That means it speaks English. There's an English speaking. Okay, so of the government of the Antichrist is called the beast. The Antichrist is a man, one individual. But the beast is the collective conglomerate of the nations that are the government of the Antichrist is the beast. Okay, so the Antichrist is a person. The government of the Antichrist is the beast. The beast is partly an enormous red dragon. It's partly a bear. It's partly a leopard. and it has a mouth like a lion. That means it speaks English. That means it's Russia, China, Islam, and there's an English-speaking portion of the beast. And look, it says, I saw a beast coming out of the sea. How can the beast come out of the sea? How can an enormous red dragon and a bear and a leopard with the mouth of a lion come out of the sea? Well, if you look at it, it's Russia and China. Well, Russia and China both have navies. So yeah, they could come rising out of the sea. Revelation chapter 6. Starting in verse 12. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. Now, just so you know, sackcloth made of goat hair looks like billowy, puffy clouds that would be generated from a nuclear strike. And I did a video on it. I'll put a link in the description with pictures and everything. The whole moon turned red like blood. Now, when this nuclear war happens, it says it's 1 hour. It's a 1 hour war. A nuclear war would last 1 hour. With hypersonic nukes, submarine launched nukes, you could have 4 or 5 strikes in an hour. Maybe as many as 8 nuclear exchanges. The stars in the sky. That's my foot, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up. So the stars fall from the sky, and then the sky is rolled up like a scroll. Then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. Other versions of the Bible say that's the dens of the rocks. That is bomb shelters, fallout shelters. Where do you think Putin's going to be? Where do you think Jinping is going to be when the nuclear strike happens? I bet you he's going to be in a bomb shelter somewhere. And that's what the caves among the rocks and of the mountains. So the stars fall from the sky's rolled up like a scroll, everybody's hiding in the bomb shelters and fallout shelters. Jesus said the same thing in Matthew chapter, let's go there. Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Okay, and he's actually quoting, I don't know if he's quoting Isaiah. He's quoting Isaiah 13:10. Okay, it says, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the people will mourn. Okay, so the stars fall from the sky is rolled up like a scroll. That's the sign in the sky of the coming of the Son of Man. And all the nations mourn while they're hiding in the dens of the rocks and the caves of the mountains. This is all describing the same event. According to Revelation chapter 14, this is the hour of God's judgment. The hour that Babylon the Great falls, and the hour that the beast comes to power. So let's read it. Fear God and give him glory, for the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens and the earth and the seas and the springs of water. A second angel followed and said, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. A third angel followed and said in a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink the wine of God's fury. Now, I didn't make this video to try to prove to you that it's a that it's not a pre-tribulation rapture. I made this video to warn you that nuclear war is coming, and it's going to happen before the mark of the beast comes out. So, 2 Thessalonians says the Antichrist is revealed before the rapture, Revelation chapter 14, starting in verse 6 through 20, says that Babylon the Great falls, and then the mark of the beast comes out. Then there's persecution and martyrs. Then the rapture. Matthew chapter 24 says, here's another proof. Matthew chapter 24. Says, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. And you will be hated by all nations. At that time, many will turn away from the faith. So what I'm saying is, when the mark of the beast comes out, that's when you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. That's when you can officially say the beginning of birth pains is over. When World War III happens and everybody is handed over to be persecuted and put to death. And it says, at that time, many will turn away from the faith. Here's what I'm saying, and you need to know this. World War III is going to happen. Everybody's going to wake up and realize it's not a pre-tribulation rapture. Then Russia and China are going to come rising out of the sea. They're going to invade. Then they're going to bring out the mark of the beast. Then at that time there will be persecution and martyrs, and there will be a great turning away from the faith, and then the rapture will happen. Okay? The nuclear exchange lasts 1 hour. It's the hour, it's the doomsday clock, it's the hour of God's judgment, it's the hour that the beast comes to power, it's the hour that Babylon the Great falls. It's also the Revelation chapter 3 verse 10 hour. The hour of trial to come upon the whole earth. And if that shows you how far off all these people who teach a pre-tribulation rapture, and they're so focused on Revelation 3:10 saying, that's proof that it's a pre-tribulation rapture, when really these people are only spared from World War III, which means they're Christians who live in like Costa Rica or Sub-Saharan Africa. Those are the people who are spared. Or Christians who die, a week before World War III happens. They're spared from that. But this video is made to be a warning to let you know, because all these people who are teaching a pre-tribulation rapture, and they're all saying, the rapture is going to happen any minute. Yeah, it's going to happen any minute. It ain't. Because everything's going to come to pass exactly as is written in this word. And this word says that after the beginning of birth pangs, then you'll be handed over to be persecuted and put to death. This word says that do not let anyone deceive you by any means, for that day the rapture will not come until first the Antichrist is revealed, and there's a great falling away or rebellion, and the Antichrist is revealed. Revelation chapter 14 verse 6, 7, 8, 9 says the gospel goes out to every nation, language, tribe, and people. Then the hour of God's judgment comes, and Babylon the Great falls. Then the mark of the beast comes out. Then there's persecution and martyrs. And at that time, that's also when everybody falls away from the faith. And then the rapture. The rapture happens in the midst of great distress, unequaled from the beginning until now, and never to be equaled again. And those days are cut short by the rapture. Otherwise, no flesh would have stood firm to the end. In other words, if the rapture didn't happen, every single person on the face of the planet would either have to be put to death for their faith or would end up taking the mark of the beast. That means everybody would have been a martyr. Only those martyrs would have made it. But God cuts those days short. And why does he cut them short? Because all the people praying. So, get ready, because if Dana Coverstone's... Now, here's what you need to know. Here's an important thing. Dana Coverstone, his dream said, basically he indicated that August would be a peaceful month. And we see that this month they've sent in the feds into like Portland and Seattle. The chop zone was dissolved. Chop or Chaz, whatever you want to call it, in Seattle. And they sent in feds to put out the riots, even though they're still going on. But what we need to look for is confirmation of Dana Coverstone's vision is if something different happens in September. Another escalation or something. We need to be looking for something. And then if something does happen, then you can also know that it's confirmation that by November, by the end of November, there's going to be a punch. So it's time to get ready. It's time to get your heart right with God. It's time to be in prayer. And World War III is coming.